Wanted to make sure I got that for you. All right. So a couple things that I'm noticing right away, Ren. So tell me again, you're looking for a straight HR kind of a role, a director role, a VP role?
Yes, yes, depending on the size of the organization. For a very large public organization, I'd be looking at a director level role. For a private organization or a mid to medium size organization, the vice president or chief human resource officer role.
Okay. So a couple things that I see right away. When you're doing your elevator pitch, and I know that that's not part of the resume, but it is part of that statement that goes underneath. Okay, that professional summary. Give me your quick elevator pitch.
Oh, I'm still working on that.
Okay.
I've been through that. I've just within the past 2 weeks crammed all the LHH courses. And so I know I have to have the branding statement. I know I have to have an exit statement, but I don't have them ready yet.
That's okay.
Okay.
So let me tell you a couple things that I noticed. And the reason that I asked that is that your statement underneath that professional summary is, it's good, but it is extremely broad. It's
Okay.
talking about some things that actually can, in many cases, screen you out rather than screen you in.
Oh, okay.
If you're talking to a company that's a small to medium size, and you're talking about the fact that you worked with as many as 3,000 people in a company at a time in 14 companies, and 18 or $1 billion organizations, and they're much smaller, they're going to say she's overqualified, she's too expensive, she won't be satisfied doing the work that we need here.
Okay.
So every part of your resume really should reflect the job that you're looking at.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it, because I would get confused sometimes between some of what you put in each place. Is what goes in this section, would it typically be your branding statement?
It is your branding statement, but it's your branding statement for this particular job.
Okay.
I like to think about it as 3 to 5 lines, 2 to 5 lines of who you are in relationship to this job.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So that changes every time. You've got a lot of good stuff in there, but this is actually the only time where you can include some words like people-centric. Okay. That's not a standardized term. I know what you mean. It will get noticed, and that's a good thing, but it is not a term that you would use anywhere else in your resume.
Okay.
Okay. At the top where we're talking about all your contact information. Okay. There are a lot of people who like these little pips. That's what that vertical line is called. I'm not a big fan of them.
Okay.
I think one of the things that happens on a resume is your goal is to make it easy for somebody on the other side of the desk or the screen to read it. And those pips seem to get in the way. What I'd rather see is a tab.
Okay.
White space on your resume really works.
Okay.
Current format right now is 919 dash, not 919 in parentheses.
Okay.
Your email address and your LinkedIn URL should both be clickable links. Do you know how to do that?
I think so. Highlight and then
you don't even need to do that. Put
Okay.
your cursor next to the last letter or number. Click the space. Oh, it's not working. Don't know what your formatting is, but it's not letting me do that. Oh, for LinkedIn, it's because you don't have the HTTPS.
Okay.
Okay, so I just made your email address a clickable link.
Oh,
I
wow.
put my cursor after the M and hit the space bar and it worked.
That was it? Okay.
That was it. Okay, you can do the other, which is highlighting it and Control K.
Okay.
Okay, and you may need to do that for LinkedIn. The other thing that you can do for LinkedIn is, if you were going to do that, I would simply type in LinkedIn URL and then make that the clickable link. And then in your bar, when you're saying, where does this go? Is your whole, the other thing that you can do is, instead of doing it this way, because again, it needs the HTTPS : long line. If you go to your own profile and then you go to the URL bar in your profile, it will give you that URL that you can then put in that becomes a clickable link.
Okay. And you would get rid of those, the bars in all these and
I
just have,
prefer getting rid of the bars. When I'm looking at it, to me, okay, the white space makes it easier to find,
yeah,
and that's the goal, right? The
okay,
goal is readability.
yep. And
And
it's
remember,
better to go across like that than stack it
you
in
can do it
a,
either way. It's really more a question of your style than anything
okay,
else.
okay.
Okay.
And do you change the, that first line that goes above the branding statement? Is that, because I've heard different things on different calls about that too. Is that kind of matching the title of what you're looking for? Is it
That is
supposed,
the title of the job for which you're applying.
okay,
If you're applying for a director level and you say VP of Human Resources, almost a visual screen out.
yep, okay,
Okay. Now you have 2 to 9 seconds to grab somebody's attention, which means the stuff on the top is really important. You're doing the same thing in this skills section, okay, right now, that you did up here or that you did up at the top. Number one, you're making it very difficult for me to read because everything runs together. Not only that, you're doing this as everything you have ever done.
Mm.
I don't care. On the other side of the desk, I have a job to fill. I want somebody who can do that job. And so while these skills are important, this isn't that listing of everything. This would be, in my opinion, the 6 to 21 key skills that are important for this particular job. If it doesn't apply to the job, take it out.
okay. That seems like a big range, 6 to 21. Is there a sweet spot to be?
Normally I do 6 to 18.
6 to
Depending
8?
on the level, I would go to 21. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I also recommend doing this differently in terms of doing this. Remember, you're doing this for 2 things. One of which is the ATS, and you've used an ATS before. You know that reads all the keywords.
Yes, yep,
Okay. ATS is going to read them regardless of where they are. Whether it's in the cover letter, whether it's in the resume, doesn't make any difference. But for me, right now, you're grabbing my attention. And white space again. So I might put in, okay,
mm-hmm,
whatever it is. Okay.
okay,
Much easier for my eye to see.
okay. That makes sense.
Okay. And that's what your goal is. If you've got 2 to 9 seconds, I'm not going to read through that whole list.
Mm-hmm, yep,
Okay. So that's one of the things that I like to see. The next thing that I like to see is you're burying everything underneath the job itself. What I mean by that is that especially at your level, I want to see things that you've accomplished. I want to know what you've done. So I recommend adding another section here called accomplishments. You
okay,
can call it highlights. I don't care. And you can do it either before or after that skill section. But in that accomplishments or highlights section, you're going to put in the 2 to 8 most significant things you've ever done anywhere in your history that match the new job.
okay.
Okay.
Would those be likely the ones that you would create the SOAR statements for? Would that match kind of the ones that you would bring up in the interview?
Could be,
too?
yes.
Okay,
Okay. But you want metrics if you can. You don't have to. But it's specifically what is it related to this job that you've already done that you can
Okay.
point to that says, ta-da, done there. Oh, she did it there. She can do it for me.
okay,
You don't want them to be exactly the same. I mean, they could be, but if they're all exactly the same as you're going to use in your interview stories, unless I'm saying I just need more information, right? This is the whistle to get me in the door.
okay,
So yes, they can be the same stories, but make sure that you've got enough information so that you can spread them out in your comments.
okay.
Okay. So I really like seeing that. The other thing is that when you pull them out of the jobs that they're in, they become psychologically more transferable.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just listed with, okay, Loparix or however you pronounce it, I only see it there, or I only see it in that industry. But what you've done there, for example, where you engineered the strategic engagement, right, reducing cost, that you can do anywhere. So
Yep.
don't tie it necessarily to the company, figure out what's important for the job. Now,
That
that
makes
means that in some cases, you may have to have more accomplishments that you want to talk about because you want some of those under each job in addition to what you put up top.
okay.
My view, people don't read, okay? So anything that is longer than 2 lines should be 2 bullets.
Anything, 2 bullets, 2 bullets.
Okay. So for example, you've got up here, you have no bullets under this first job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know that you're doing a variety of things, but I would make it 2 bullets because people don't read paragraphs. And for whatever reason, it appears as though anything that is 2 lines or longer than 2 lines, we're not going to finish reading it.
Okay. I agree. That makes sense.
Okay.
What
Did
do
you
you
have,
feel, what do
go
you
ahead.
feel is important to do in, like that one line that goes, or 1 or 2 lines that goes right underneath the position at the company before you start getting into the bullets, what do you feel is really important content in that line or 2?
There are a couple of different ways of looking at it. One is the overall, here's what the job is, but other people are doing it more in terms of what's the company?
Hmm.
If I'm looking at all the things you do, I want to see whether or not that is in a company of the same size that I'm looking at, same number of people. How significant is it that you increased recruiting by 10% if you only have 200 employees as opposed to 2,000?
Okay.
Did you have 2 jobs titles at Parker Hannafin?
I had many.
Okay.
That's where I was for 24 years. So that's after
So
that.
there are some tricks that you can use on your resume to make it clear. Because right now it appears as though, quick glance, okay, that many of these are individual companies if I'm not reading it directly.
Okay.
So what you can do, Parker Hannafin, you've got your total time here, which is great. But then each individual job, okay, it's all Parker Hannafin.
Yep.
Now it's clear that it's all part of the same company.
What did you do?
I think, let me see. So what I did,
Oh, okay. I
okay,
see.
now,
Yep.
because of the way it's formatted and the rest of it, your wording, your spacing doesn't show up well based on
Yeah, I
just,
like that. That's
okay,
much clearer.
it's much clearer. And if you're going to do that, because it's all the same, take out these spaces in between the jobs.
Okay.
Okay. I don't necessarily need to know the difference. Remember, it's all the same company. You're already giving me the information. But if you put too many spaces in there, again, white space, you could if you wanted to. But I'm trying to make sure that everything fits together. So if you're going to do that, then there's one here and there's one between all of them.
Okay. The last one, I have a question on this the one I stopped, like the last big one that I wanted to highlight. After that, it starts to get into a lot of other titles and progression and stuff, was the one in Asia where I was on an expat assignment, but I was the head of finance. So it's different. It's a huge leadership role, a huge global, cultural role, but it's not HR. Is that, would you remove that and kind of highlight that a different way?
So the question would be, remember, it's not what's important to you, is
Sure.
having an expat role, especially in a role that's outside of the area that you want to be in, is that important for the job you're looking at?
Okay. Okay.
You always have to look at it from their lens, not yours.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Other things in terms of the quick resume review. Yeah, that's fine. Your certifications, I would probably do, I wouldn't do them across the page. I would do them underneath one another in a list.
Okay.
Again, you want to make it easy for me to read.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is only include those that are related to the job.
Okay.
So for example, the fact that you're a CPA may or may not be appropriate for the job you're looking at in HR.
Got it.
Your board membership is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That was wonderful. Very
All right.
helpful. Yep.
Very good. So those would be the kinds of things that I might do.
Okay.
Okay. So were you able to pick up a couple of things?
Yes, yes, yes. And I tell you, I've been through a lot with this. You know, I paid somebody a couple years ago to help me with one. And since then it's evolved. It just keeps evolving and evolving through all. And I think this has really helped me take it to the next level. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm glad it helped.